Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing great today. I'm genuinely excited to share this with you because we just got a mountain of updates from NIO's big annual launch for their new flagship SUV, the ONVO L90. Now, this wasn't just your average new model reveal, it was a full-on deep dive into what NIO's been building behind the scenes for years. So, if you're curious about what makes the L90 different, what problems it's designed to solve, and why so many families might be eyeing this as their next big purchase, stay tuned, I've got you covered. This is not financial advice. Please do your own research. So let's kick this off with the vibe at the event itself. William Lai, NIO's CEO, opened up with a positive, heartfelt message, wishing everyone good health and a smooth journey ahead. I think moments like these remind us that NIO tries to keep things human in an industry that can feel very corporate. He made a point to thank the existing ONVO owners, especially those who bought the L60, which has already racked up over 52K deliveries. That's pretty solid for a new sub-brand in a tough EV market. Now, what's really interesting is how the ONVO L60 has carved out its spot in the 200K to 300K RMB pure EV bracket. It's actually stayed in the top 3 for sales, and apparently, May and June smashed previous records, marking the best months ever for the L60 so far in 2025. I think this shows that when NIO gets it right, customers really do stick around. From there, they pivoted straight into why they felt the need to bring the L90 to life. Basically, they interviewed a ton of large 3-row SUV owners, over 2,700 people, to find out what frustrates them the most. The big themes? Not enough storage room, noisy cabins, and for EREV extended range EV owners, the usual headache about limited electric range and the fact that electricity is way cheaper than fuel, but charging can be a hassle with long wait times. It's funny how obvious these issues sound, but so many carmakers still miss the mark on solving them. NIO claims they've spent over 10 years and more than 60 billion RMB on R&D to get this right, plus major investments in their energy infrastructure. I think that long-term approach is actually what sets them apart. They're not just about the car, but the whole ecosystem. Speaking of infrastructure, they shared some big numbers. NIO now has 3,400 battery swap stations, more than 13K superchargers, and almost 13,400 fast chargers. And they're not just clustered in big cities, they've got stations in some pretty remote places, too. To prove how reliable this is, they did a wild 10K kilometers highway test run with the ONVO L60, only using battery swaps. Imagine driving through 19 provinces and 81 cities, typhoons, traffic jams, and all without ever plugging in. Just swapping batteries and drivers, non-stop, for over 98 hours. It's honestly impressive and makes a good case for why battery swapping can work for long trips. Alright, let's dig into what the L90 actually brings to the table. First, it's a true full-size SUV. The numbers back that up. Over 5 meters long, nearly 2 meters wide, and a wheelbase of 110 millimeters. It's meant to feel big, premium, and spacious. One of my favorite little design touches is the animated headlights, which symbolize constant progress, a neat bit of branding if you ask me. The L90 rolls on 21-inch wheels with a titanium soft light look, giving it a slightly futuristic vibe. Inside, they're offering 6 or 7-seater configurations with 4 types of high-end materials and 600 possible color combos. That's a lot of personalization. They're using real wood accents, apparently about 7 meters worth per vehicle, plus premium leather and unique metallic finishes. I think that level of detail will really appeal to buyers who want something that feels custom. On the safety front, NIO's clearly making this a selling point. They've designed the L90 to exceed China's 5-star safety standards by a huge margin. They've done crash tests with 3.5 times the required kinetic energy, plus extensive truck collision testing. The body is mostly aluminum and high-strength steel, giving it a torsional strength of over 38 Newton-meters per degree. That's a mouthful, but in plain English, it means this SUV should be really tough in a crash. One part I thought was especially thoughtful was the emphasis on protecting kids in the third row. They've got super long side airbags that reach all the way back, staying inflated for over 6 seconds, plus extra structural reinforcements to protect that area. If you're a parent, that kind of peace of mind is a big deal. Then there's the practicality, and honestly, this is where the L90 might shine the most. They claim it solves the classic 3-row SUV headache, balancing passenger space with storage. They've achieved an 85.9% space utilization rate inside the cabin, which is huge. 6 people plus 10 suitcases? No problem, they say. The frunk alone gives you 240 liters, and there's still 430 liters in the back with the third row in use. Compare that to other SUVs that barely offer any trunk space. Once the third row is up, it's a big win. Powertrain-wise, the L90 packs a permanent magnet motor producing 340 kilowatt, which they compare to a high-performance V6. The battery is ultra-thin, freeing up more interior space. They've also used a clever 4-in-1 inverter system to squeeze out every bit of room for passengers. Inside, comfort takes center stage. The seats are designed for long trips, with 13 layers and thick cushioning. Zero-gravity recline, heating for all rows, ventilation and massage for the first 2 rows, and even a built-in fridge that can hold a dozen bottles. Plus, the roof is a dual-glass design with shades, so the cabin feels bright but not hot. I love how they thought about noise, too. The L90 uses double-layered glass and sound dampening everywhere, plus Michelin's quietest tires. And for music lovers, you get a massive 23-speaker surround system with Dolby Atmos, definitely not your average family SUV audio. Performance-wise, you've got 2 options: rear-wheel drive at 240 kilowatt or all-wheel drive at 440 kilowatt. The AWD does 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 4.7 seconds, pretty wild for a big family hauler. Air suspension comes standard, providing a super smooth ride, and they claim a super low body lean in corners, only about 4.8 degrees, so it shouldn't feel like a boat when you're driving twisty roads. Despite its size, it's surprisingly light, about 200 kilograms lighter than similar SUVs, and that helps with efficiency. NIO says the drag coefficient is only 0.25, which is pretty slippery for an SUV. They've tweaked the aerodynamics over 100 times to get it that low. The result? Energy use of just 14.5 kilowatt-hour per 100 kilometers and an impressive 605 kilometers of range with the 85 kilometers per hour pack. That's really solid for something this big. There are other clever touches, too. A Guardian mode that sips just 1 kWh per day if you leave it on. And if you park the car fully charged with Guardian mode off, it can sit for up to 200 days. That's a funny stat, but it does show how little energy drain it has at idle. In terms of smarts, the L90 is loaded. It has 40mm wave radars, over 2K detection points, a huge 17-inch main display up front, and a giant 17.3-inch rear screen with remote control. The software supports rear-wheel steering, too, so tight parking spots should feel a lot less stressful. And the pricing? That's the kicker. The presale starts at around $279 on 900 RMB, which is mind-blowing considering you'd pay something similar for a much smaller Tesla Model Y. With battery rental, the base drops to under 194k RMB, so that's a lot of car for the money. They're even throwing in loyalty perks. ONVO L90 owners get 50k NIO points if they buy, and Firefly or other NIO owners get 30k points. You can already put down a deposit to reserve one. It's refundable, and gets you extra value when you buy. Deliveries are set to begin in August, with the official full launch at the end of this month. Personally, I think this shows NIO is serious about dominating the large SUV market. They're not just competing on price, but on tech, comfort, and the whole ownership experience. So, that's the full breakdown of the ONVO L90, a big, bold step forward for NIO's sub-brand. To me, what stands out is how they're listening to what families actually want. tons of space, serious comfort, top safety, and the practicality of battery swapping for long trips. They're really leaning into that full ecosystem idea, where you're not just buying a car, you're plugging into a network that makes owning an EV less of a headache. I'm genuinely curious to see if they can deliver on all these promises once the first L90s hit the road. Will families love it as much as the L60? Will that massive range and ultra-quiet cabin win over buyers who might have gone with a gas SUV? Time will tell, but I think NIO's approach of solving real-world problems instead of just chasing fancy specs is a smart one. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more stock predictions and market insights. Remember to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Happy investing, and see you in the next video.